Hello and welcome to day 3 of Wellbeing Week, presented by Allianz and the Australian Olympic Committee. I'm Amy Jones and I'm a Beijing Olympian, and this week I'm talking to other Olympians, as well as experts in the field, on a range of topics to do with the concept of wellbeing. So far we've covered how to empower your passions and take control of your future. You can watch all of the day's interviews and events on the Australian Olympic Team Facebook and YouTube pages, so don't worry if you've missed out on any of the action so far. Today we're talking about how to empower your friendships. We'll also be celebrating the life of one of our beloved Olympians who was also a cherished teammate, mentor and friend to so many. Alex Chumpy Pullin was a 3-time Olympian, 2-time world champion and Australian team flag bearer, and he sadly passed away this year. It's been an extremely tough period for our Winter Games family, also sadly losing Olympic figure skater Katya Alexandrovskaya. These Olympians were considered friend and teammate to so many. Having loved ones in your corner to love and laugh with really is the backbone of life. This year, due to everything the pandemic has thrown at us, it's been more difficult than ever to stay connected with our friends. So let's do just that. I'd like to now welcome our first guest for the day, who has plenty of experience as a teammate at the Winter Games, 4-time Olympic snowboarder Holly Crawford. Holly, welcome.
Hey Amy, how you doing?
Well, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Now, I wanted to start with the fact that many of your years in your career were spent as a teammate of Chumpy. What are some of your earliest memories of him?
I remember when Chump first came on tour. He was a fisherman pant wearing, hacky sack playing, surfy, musician kind. He had a lot of ambition, and he wanted to go places, and that's exactly what he proceeded to do.
He really did, and
Yeah.
by the end of his career is well and truly a leader of the team. How do you describe him as a leader?
He was great, he brings a lot to the table, he brings a lot of joy, he brings a lot of energy. He was always good for a laugh. Got a really great sense of humour, and watching him go from, a younger athlete sort of looking up to other people to, a gentleman that, is helping teach other people and helping, pave the way, really. Snowboarding's still a really, really young sport. So, watching Chump, create something for younger generations was really lovely to see.
A special thing,
Yeah.
Indeed. And I know it's been a really tough period, also losing Katya, the figure skater. How has the Olympic community really rallied during this time?
Obviously it's tough. We're a very small team, and whether or not you're directly affected by it, you are somehow, as an on-cost of somebody else. I know that I didn't spend a lot of time with her. We don't cross paths a lot with the halfpipe team, but John Marsden, our strength and conditioning trainer, we share. So it's tough, and everyone has rallied. Obviously during COVID and with lockdowns and things like that, it's been really, really tough. But I think for all intents and purposes, everyone's done the best they can, and everyone's been there for everyone else. So it's been a good support.
That's really good to hear. And I know that Chumpy was a really great mate of yours. I wanted to ask you, what impact did he have on your sporting career?
All sorts of impacts, that's for sure. We didn't travel all year round together. I'm half pipe, he's border cross, but during a lot of the training camps, when we were training, during our off season, during winter in Sydney, we spent a lot of time together training. I'm quite sarcastic at the best of times, and thankfully Chumpy had a tendency to hear things that I would say that people are not really supposed to hear, which obviously always made it much more fun. And it's just great to have him around as a general rule. We won the 2011 World Championships together, myself, Nate and Chumpy, which was obviously, just an absolutely wonderful thing to be able to share between the three of us. We're all quite good friends. So, just having Chumpy along, having him on tour, having him do silly things like leave his passport in the wrong car, or, always entertaining, that's for sure.
Yeah, the best kind of teammates.
Yeah.
And how would you sum up the legacy that he has left on not only snowboarding, but the winter community, the Winter Olympic Games?
It is a great loss to the sport. I've no doubt that Chumpy was, just at the very beginning of creating more and wonderful things for the younger generations. He, like I said, it is a young sport, and he's paved a way and made things possible that might not have been or might have taken longer. And he's quite a force to be reckoned with. So he pushed a lot of agendas across the line, and Bordercross was very, very lucky to have him, basically. And it is a great loss to our community, but hopefully. Hopefully we can all rally together and support, the things that it was that Chumpy was supporting.
It is a really huge loss, but I know that he'll be well remembered by yourself, absolutely. Tell me more about snowboarding. I wanted to know, really, how did you get into it, and particularly how did you get into halfpipe? Because that is a tough, tough sport. What do you love about it?
There's a lot of freedom to it. It's a very sort of creative, like in the arts and things like that. It's a subjective thing to do. It's slightly different, obviously, to bordercross like Chumpy did, where there's you're around the gates, you this, you that. There's a bit of leeway in halfpipe. It is. Again, subjective, so you're judged on it. Often there's people that are disgruntled with how the judging may have gone, and that, it's a bit like, the critics,
yes.
in the arts and that sort of thing.
Yes.
I skied for many years and then decided that, I was a skateboarder, so snowboarding was definitely a thing for me. I'm not exactly sure how the halfpipe happened to me. I wouldn't advise it for anybody else.
Oh, really? You wouldn't recommend?
Well, it's awfully dangerous. It's not easy on the body.
It seems that way.
Yeah, but it's definitely a lot of fun. I got a lot out of it. As I say, wouldn't suggest that anybody else should necessarily do it, but I would definitely do it all over again, that's for sure.
That's good to hear. And you did mention that it's a dangerous sport, and you unfortunately had some pretty big injuries during your career. I can definitely relate, particularly leading up to the Sochi Games. How important was it to have a good support network and have some good mates to really rally around you during those times?
Yeah, the support network for anyone, athlete or otherwise, is very important. In that space, we started with not a lot of support and came into a world where there was more. Obviously, I know that my teammates for a long time didn't really utilise what they could from physio and things like that. I think just because they weren't aware of the benefits that they could gain from it, whether or not you're injured. I obviously had a lot of injuries throughout my career, and without the support networks that were around me, I'm not sure I could have made it as far as I did. Everyone's still shocked and horrified that I did. So, but it's definitely, as I say, athlete or not, everybody needs a really good support network, because that's, at the end of the day, usually what gets us through the hard times.
And as a winter athlete particularly, it seems that you spend most of your year abroad, travelling, living out of a suitcase, so guessing you spend a lot of time with your teammates that would become like friends or family. How do you stay, connected with the people back home when you're rarely there?
As technology got better, because I am that old, it obviously became easier. Skype, social media, all sorts of things, FaceTime, everyone even having mobile phones at work overseas, it became a whole thing, and it's something that everybody, pushes these days, and everybody gets amongst, because it is very important. But Skyping your family, Skyping your friends, and having that connection, because despite the fact that, yes, we travel with all these people and they do become your family, at the end of the day, you go home to your family too, and they're the people that are always there and know where you come from and will be there wherever you're going. And so it's very important to keep those connections.
It is, and you're probably ahead of the game there in terms of using the video calls. I think everyone's quite comfortable with them this year, or had to be. But yeah, absolutely, it is really important to keep those, relationships back home going too. But back to your teammates overseas that do become your friends, and often your competitors. How do you balance that when you're wanting to maintain a strong friendship, and they do provide that friendship to you, but they're also your rival? How do you balance that?
Humility helps, definitely. But, at the end of the day, sport is what it is. You can be upset that somebody did well, or you can, join in their joy, and obviously you're always disappointed if you haven't succeeded, quite how you might have wanted to. So you can go home and whinge about it and, cry a river, or you can get amongst somebody else's joy and realise that next time that could be you. And do you want your friends there supporting you and celebrating with you, or do you want them, whinging in the corner because they didn't do quite as well that time, And it's always somebody's time, and it's not necessarily always yours, but you can always still get the joy from that.
Yeah, I like that joy. It's really important. And I think the winter community seems like such a tight-knit one, and that's a credit to you all. And humility obviously plays a big part in that. Well, Holly, thank you for having a chat with me. Please stick around because we do have a Q&A at the end. Well, Allianz is our Wellbeing Week partner this year, and they've recently launched a campaign aiming to help remove the stigma around mental health to show that even the strongest among us are sometimes vulnerable. Let's hear now from three-time Olympian and Allianz ambassador, Kate Campbell.
The more success that I had, the more I feared failure. Things that used to excite me and challenge me began to give me really bad anxiety. The only place where success is possible is also where failure is possible. So if I'm not willing to accept the risk of failure, then I'm also not willing to accept the risk to succeed.
I'd now like to introduce two-time Olympic snowboarder Belle Brockhoff, our next guest on Wellbeing Week. Welcome, Belle. How are you?
Well, thank you. How are you going?
Not too bad. Really great to have you here today. Now, I wanted to ask you about your lead into snowboarding. I believe you picked up a board at the age of 3, so you've been doing it for a long time. What do you love so much about the sport?
I actually picked up skis when I was 3 years old, and then picked up snowboard when I was 10. So, yeah, it happened because my mum got a snowboard when I was 9, and I got really jealous. So she made a deal with me, said, get to level 1 in ski school and we'll give you a snowboard. So I did that ASAP and I got a snowboard the next year. So I haven't really looked back since.
Oh, it was love at first sight. Great to hear. Belle, tell me, what role have friendships played in your sporting career? I was just talking to Holly about what a tight-knit group you are, and you spend the year travelling together and your teammates become like friends. First, what role do those friendships with your teammates, the people in the winter community, what roles do they play in your life and in your sporting career?
Well, just like Holly was saying before, it's a very tight-knit community. Like, there's not a lot of us, and a lot of us have known each other since we were like 10, 13 years old. I've known Chumpy since I was 13 years old. I've known Britt Cox since I was 10 years old. So a long history, and you just become quite close with each other and become family-like, I guess. And when in winter sports, you're on the road from November till end of March. So it's a long time to be away from home. So creating those relationships are really handy. It's good to have that support. And if you're feeling down or homesick, you've got people around you who can kind of help you in that space. So super important with anything, really. It's, there's nothing worse than being with someone for 6 months that you don't like. So,
You kind of have to get on. But what about the people back home, your friends? Do you have a lot of friends outside of sport? And how important is that?
Yeah, so friends in different types of sports, but also outside sport in the business area, like fitness industry or wine distillery, sort of like different areas. Anyone that has different types of knowledge, I love to surround myself with. And I tend to surround myself with people who are a lot more smarter than me because I love learning. I love learning different areas. This is why I picked up a uni degree as well, and making friends with other students. And I find that having those different relationships helps you grow as a person as well as an athlete, and it crosses over to snowboarding. So your learning becomes better, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does.
So, yeah, and the support's awesome. Yeah.
I agree. I always valued my friends outside of sport. It's really important for staying well-rounded, I think. And sometimes you don't want to talk about what happened at training or in competition, and it's so refreshing to maintain those friendships. It's been a really tricky year for pretty much everyone, Belle, to stay connected and maintain friendships. And I was just talking also with Holly about how, she's pretty used to using video calls to staying in touch. How do you keep in touch with your loved ones, both this year and also just generally while you're travelling so much?
Pretty much the same as Holly. Like, I mean, Melbourne, I used to be able to, go down to the local coffee shop and catch up with a friend, but we can't do that because we're in lockdown. So Zoom, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger has been super handy to stay connected, and even just old-fashioned calling up your mate and just having a chat. So super handy, and it just helps keep things feel as close to normal as possible, especially during this time. And when you're on the road, like, super important to stay connected with your family and friends. They want to know what you're up to. They want to know that you're alive. So that's always good to have.
Yes, absolutely. Belle, I wanted to ask you about your memories of Chumpy. He was such a valued member of the Olympic community. Now, I believe you shared a pretty special moment in your first World Cup win.
Yeah, it was my first World Cup win in Bansko Bikira Barret in Spain. And we had a really rough season. This was in 2016. And he was having a tough season. He wasn't achieving the results that he wanted. He has a very high standard of what he knows he can achieve. And I was just scraping shy of my first win. And it was really frustrating because there were frustrating mistakes that I was making that didn't let me get onto the very top of the podium. So come last race, and we just thought, screw it, let's put everything on the line. Let's just have a lot of fun. Whatever comes. And we really enjoyed the course. It was something that suited us, our riding styles. And I won, like, my first World Cup. And then 10 minutes later, Chumpy won. And it was a first for me, and it was Australia's first double World Cup podium for border cross. So really exciting, and we were just stoked. And it was the first time I've actually seen him cry. We hugged at the finish area, and he started crying, and then I started crying, and, it was awesome.
What a special moment. I'm guessing there were some pretty big celebrations that night.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we had to pack our bags and leave pretty early in the morning to get back home to Australia. So wasn't that great in the airport, being a bit tired, but yeah, it was all worth it.
And Belle, how will you be remembering Chumpy as a friend and as a teammate?
Legacy, everything that he's left behind, everything that he's created. He was the first border cross athlete to win a world championship titles, actually 2 of them, and overall titles as well. So that really set the bench really high, and it's trickled down. We feel really motivated. All of the other athletes feel motivated to achieve that, or if not, do better. So it's made us really hungry. It's made us dig deep and work hard in our training. And he's also, before his passing, he was looking into the next generation of riders and setting up the sport so it becomes better. So yeah, his legacy, it's pretty incredible.
It really is. Well, Belle, thank you so much for sharing those memories and also chatting about friendship, because the theme, of course, today is empowering your friendship. Stick around. We have a Q&A which you'll be part of very soon. Next week, though, we're kicking off our celebrations of the 20-year anniversary of the Sydney Olympic Games. No doubt, if you're around then, you'll have some special memories of that time, whether it be as an athlete, a supporter, or a volunteer. Let's hear now from a few familiar faces from the Games.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Hearing the roar of the crowd and seeing all of the faces of the Australian Taekwondo community in the stand. That's my Sydney 2000.
Walking into the opening ceremony behind Andrew Gaze and the rest of the Australian team, 120,000 screaming Aussies. That's my Sydney 2000.
I walked into the middle of the stadium and put down my beach towel and just looked around at all the audience and the sparkling lights. That's my Sydney 2000.
The deafening noise and the energy from the crowd that played every single point with us on Bondi Beach.
Kerry and I, 3 coaches, in a huddle, on the sand, jumping around going, we won the Olympic gold medal. And that's my Sydney 2000.
Walking out for my first event and hearing the roar and the passion from that home crowd is a memory I'll never forget. That's my Sydney 2000.
Hosting Olympic Sunrise for those magical 3 weeks, getting to interview so many fabulous athletes whilst enjoying the most incredible athletic performances. That's my Sydney 2000.
We're inviting you to share your favourite memories of 2000 on social media with the hashtag MySydney2000. Well, it's time now to take questions from you watching along at home, and we've had lots of questions come in for Holly and Belle today. The first one is from Susie on Facebook, and this absolutely would apply to you both, I'm sure. I'll start with you though first, Holly. It sounds like you've had some pretty serious injuries in your career. How do you mentally overcome those setbacks and keep competing?
You know, you've just got to persevere. You know, you tell yourself whatever you need to at the end of the day to get through. But yeah, in all honesty, you just got to persevere. It's one step in front of the other. There was a time where I was told I, might not walk all that well again, and learnt how to do all of that again. And it's, as I said, it's one foot in front of the other. You keep going. And sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easier. And, like those support networks that we were talking about, lean on them. That's, one of the important things to do. We can't do everything alone. I like to think I can, but,
we all do.
Yeah, it's not really a thing. There are numerous people that you lean on, whether or not you realise it or not.
So have the right people in your corner.
Yeah.
Belle, how about you?
In terms of injury?
Yeah. How do you mentally come back? I'm guessing you've had a few.
I've just come back from... Yeah, I've just come back from 2 ACL blowouts, so I know what it's like to try and learn how to walk again, and then it doesn't feel quite normal, but one step in front of the other, because if you look at the big picture, it's quite overwhelming. So just kind of breaking it down into like little goals, and just focusing on those and being really thorough with it, you'll get there eventually. There's plenty of support out there.
Excellent. Well, the next question that's come in from Julia on Facebook. What's your favourite way to celebrate with teammates after a competition? Holly, over to you.
I'm going to let Belle take this one.
Belle, what's your favourite way to celebrate with teammates after a competition?
Well, it depends on if we have a competition right afterwards. But I guess we can't go into crazy details, but one thing I remember, one vivid memory was we were in Austria and we'd just finished up one of the first World Cups of the season, and we have a bit of a special request when we're in Austria. We request schnitzels, because the Austrians make the best schnitzels in town, so we actually globally. And I thought I had 2, thought that'd be enough. They're about this big, and Campbell, my teammate, decided to have 12.
12.
So, yeah,
that's impressive.
Yeah, so that's one of the memories.
Holly, have you ever done 12 schnitzels?
No, I can't say I have.
Can't say that you have.
But as Belle would be very well aware, one thing you do before celebrating is usually pack your bags, because you usually have a flight to catch the next day, and you don't want to do that in the morning.
Yes, that sounds like something you would definitely learn throughout your career.
Yeah.
Rookie error you won't make twice.
Yeah.
The next question has come through from Zoe on Facebook. How important is it for you to maintain your friendships with teammates after your Olympic career finishes? Holly?
Depends who they are, obviously. Some people we can do best without. Kidding. No, it's really important. Obviously, Chump and myself and Nate, who was one of my close teammates, Ken also, we stay in touch. It's hard, obviously, and we're all in different places. We're all in different places in our lives. But it's one of those things, as you do get older anyway, it can be difficult to stay in contact with friends, but I think it's important to, and I think from a sporting perspective, I think it's important because we come from a different place, it's not, and a lot of the things that we might be experiencing are the same. So to have the sounding board, for Belle, for instance, to be able to retire and then maybe speak to me about it and say, I'm struggling with this, or, they're experiences that other people might not have had. So I feel it's really important to, keep those friendships going and keep those pathways open, not only for your own health, and your own mental capacity, but for also those who might need to lean on you.
Absolutely. I think it's so important to keep those friendships because they know what you've been through, right? It's a pretty special thing to go through an Olympic campaign, and you do go through a lot with them. Next question that's come through from Taylor on Facebook, and I would like to hear from both of you on this. We'll start with you though, Holly. Are your closest friendships within your own discipline, or do you find that you create strong friendships with people from other disciplines within winter sport?
Definitely both. You know, as we've said, you know, we're quite a small community, and you know, obviously geographically, you know, where you live and things like that have a lot to do with it. You know, I train a lot with Sammy Kennedy Sim and Chumpy and Nate, and Belle would often come to Sydney and do a lot of training, you know, with us there. So it's, you know, and you know, during the season, you're in Jindabyne with a lot of the people, and you spend a lot of time, you know. So it's, you know, it depends who you're spending a lot of your time with. But yeah, ultimately, we are sort of very widespread with our friendships within the Winter Olympic team.
Would you agree, Belle? Do you hang out with mainly snowboarders or friends with everyone? How does it work? You all seem like such a tight-knit group in the winter sport family.
Yeah, definitely. Like I pre-COVID, I was flying up to Sydney a couple of times and organising training camps with Sammy Sims, just because we're really close. And you know, I also do some like catching up with Adam Dixon, also Adam Lambo when I can, when I'm in Jindabyne and teeing up some sessions. It's always, I think by doing that and maintaining your friendship as well, it's just like you feed off each other, because you see someone training so hard, that's not really normal to see, that you feed off that. And I get super motivated and inspired by different athletes, especially on the winter sports team. You know, we're all going for the same thing. We have the same goals. So yeah, and then they get you. At the end of the day, they understand you more than anyone else. They get it.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because you might not be competing in the same sport, but you ultimately have the same goal. So that would absolutely bring you together. Belle, another question has come in for you. Ryan on Facebook would like to know, what are you studying at university and what are your plans for your post-athlete career?
Okay, well, I have no idea what we're doing after snowboarding, but I'm studying Bachelor of Commerce, and you know, I'm really enjoying the law subject, which I never thought I would, because I've always given people shit who studied law, because I thought, you know, they were nerds, but turns out I like the same thing. So I might specialise in that. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's a bit up in the air at the moment, but I'm in my first year of uni.
So keeping your options open at this point. Plenty of time to work that out. I'd just like to say that Lynn on Facebook says she's watching from Perisher. So hi Lynn, and thank you for joining us. I hope you're enjoying the day. Next question, Liana on Facebook would like to know a bit more about how you manage living and travelling so closely with your teammates most of the year. Holly, so you would have spent many years living in very close quarters with teammates. How do you manage that? Do you find you need to get out for your own alone time or me time from time to time?
I meditate a lot. I don't. I'm lying.
Not so much.
You know, you get on with it, you know. Sometimes you just have to, you know. You yell at them if you need to. Sometimes they yell at you. Sometimes you need to go for a walk. Sometimes you need to be separated, you know. Things happen. But, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, you know, and I'm sure Belle would agree, they become siblings after a while, you know, and it's you know, it's like, yeah, you're really annoying today. Can you not? Can you just go away? Yeah, and it becomes one of those things that you have to manage, you know, and you have to make it work, because you're about to be on a plane together for 12 hours, or you're about to be stuck in a car together for 7 hours, you know. You've got to make it work, you know, and yeah, sometimes it's tough, but that's, you know, sometimes it's tough dealing with siblings too.
It is, but I think it also speaks to how close you are as friends, that you can be that honest. I think you need to get to a point in your friendship when you can say things like, you're a bit annoying today and I might just take a bit of time out. So it really speaks to how close you all are. Belle, how about yourself? Any tales from travelling abroad with teammates, living out of suitcases?
Oh, always some tales, but yeah, it's just communicating like how you feel. As much as, you know, might be an annoying situation or whatever, you don't want to bottle up and get all these crazy emotions that affect your performance at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, you know, you're government funded, you're there to do a job, so you just have to make it work as best as possible. So communication is key. You know, if you have a teammate that's annoying you, then you just have to address it yourself, and take that responsibility. So yeah, I mean, it's great for personal growth as well, not just as an athlete, just as a normal human being. So it's a good opportunity to learn.
It is, learn, and communication. It's a good point. I think it's the foundation of all great friendships, really, all great relationships. Well, thank you, Belle and Holly, really for sharing all of those wonderful stories. I really enjoyed those, but also your experience and, of course, your memories of Chumpy. It was really wonderful sharing those with you today. So thank you for joining us. A huge thank you to our guests today, Holly Crawford, Belle Brockhoff. If you missed anything from today, the replay is on our Facebook page now. If you take one thing away from today, make it a commitment to reach out to a friend, be it in person or over a video call. They really are the support network we all need, even if we don't always realise it. Also, don't forget to share the ways in which you're empowering yourself on your socials. You can use the hashtag #EmpowerYourself to do that. Tomorrow it's Are You OK Day, and we'll be focusing on empowering our mental health. I'll be joined by surfer Owen Wright, swimming Olympian Kate Campbell and Associate Professor Dr. Simon Rosenbaum. We'll be live from 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'd like to leave you today with this tribute and some wonderful memories of Olympian, teammate and friend Alex Chumpy Pullin.